Welcome to Wild Seat. On a dark night, young Zan and his father miraculously dodge a cheetah cub whose mother has died, leaving no one to protect the creature. Zan and his family take in the small feline and decide to name it Duma, making it part of the family. But the sudden illness of his father forces his mother to fly to Johannesburg to leave the cheetah in South Africa. However, neither Duma nor Zan are willing to part. We begin with an impressive view of the vast African landscape, where wildlife thrives in its natural environment. In the darkness of the night, a cheetah cub ventures out of its hiding place and finds itself lost, its small body trembling with fear. It reaches a fence and, unknowingly, manages to pass through an opening wide enough. But on its path to freedom, it encounters an approaching vehicle with its headlights on, threatening to crush it under its wheels. However, the driver, a farmer named Peter, swerves in time and averts the tragedy. Peter is accompanied by his son Zan, and together they are surprised to find a wild cheetah so far from its natural habitat. However, they quickly realize that the cub is lost and needs help to survive. Without thinking twice, they rescue it from imminent danger and take it to their home. Zan's mother, Gritton, worries about the safety of the cub and its possible impact on the family, but after examining it and seeing that it is healthy, they decide to keep it and care for it as one of their own. So that night, the cub sleeps in Zan's bed and we see a bond forming between them. As the days go by, the family becomes accustomed to the cheetah's presence. Zan and his father build a treehouse, ride scooters, and engage in all kinds of activities, always with Duma, the name Zan gives the cheetah, watching everything with curiosity. Over time, Duma adapts to its new environment and becomes another member of Peter and Gritton's family. One day, Peter becomes seriously ill and has to be hospitalized. Peter's father comes to talk to him about Duma and explains to Zan that Duma is a wild animal and it is not fair to keep it on a farm. Zan is hurt by the idea of having to let go of Duma, but his father has a plan. He shows him a map where he points out the area where they found Duma and proposes to travel there to leave it with its species. But sadly, before they can carry out the plan, Peter suddenly passes away. Zan's mother explained that they could not continue living on the farm and would have to sell it to move to the city. Zan worried about Duma, and Gritton assured him that they would send it to a reserve to live there. But Zan was not satisfied with that. He wanted Duma to be free in the wild. Despite this, Gritton explained that they should worry about their family first and the cheetah later. Zan's first day of school was difficult. There were bullies at the school who constantly intimidated him. When he returned home, he found that Duma was locked in a small apartment with Gritton's sister. But Duma managed to escape and follow Zan to the school. He saw him through the classroom window and wanted to go get him, but the teacher prevented him from leaving the room. Suddenly, screams were heard from outside, and the class descended into chaos. Zan ran out of the room, knowing that Duma was the cause of the screams. He chased him to the locker room but was confronted by the bullies who intimidated him. At that moment, Duma appeared and scared them enough for them to flee. Zan and Duma escaped together, but they knew they couldn't stay there forever. They decided to embark on an epic journey home, taking Duma in a sidecar, using his father's motorcycle that he had stolen for the occasion. The desert was a dangerous place and far from civilization, but Zan was determined to get home no matter what. However, as expected, things quickly got complicated. The motorcycle engine suddenly failed, leaving them stranded in the middle of the desert until nightfall. That's when they found the remains of an airplane in a remote part of the desert. During the night, a wanderer named Max appeared out of nowhere and tried to steal the motorcycle, but Zan stopped him in time. After explaining the situation, Max offered to share his water, but became annoyed when Zan gave some to Duma. Max warned them that their destination was 5 days away, but they could starve to death before reaching it. He suggested eating Duma to survive, but Zan had a better idea. Near the airplane wreckage, they found a couple of parachutes. Zan had a brilliant idea: to use the parachutes to create a sail for the motorcycle. If you're enjoying the video, please give it a like. It only takes a second and it helps me out a ton. With this, Zan, Duma, and Max soared through the skies on their way home, enjoying the freedom of the wind on their faces as they headed towards their destination, relieved not to have to eat Duma. Meanwhile, Zan's mother is anxious for her missing son and prints search posters. Using his knowledge of the desert, Max manages to find fresh water by digging directly into the ground. However, food remains a concern, but with Duma's presence, they can hunt something. They test the cheetah's hunting skills by launching it at an ostrich, and although Duma fails in its hunt, it discovers a nest with large ostrich eggs. Later, as they make a campfire and enjoy their eggs, Zan reveals to Max his plan to return Duma to its natural habitat. However, Max points out that it is dangerous due to the presence of wild animals that could kill them. Although Zan doesn't fully trust Max, he has no other choice and they begin to walk through the desert carrying Duma with them. On their way, they come across an ancient stone wall where Max finds a spearhead, but suddenly they hear a helicopter approaching and immediately hide, not knowing it is Zan's mother searching for him. The next day, they find an abandoned diamond mine, and Max insists on checking it out to find something of value. However, they soon hear a rumble and realize that Max is in danger. Zan runs into the collapsed mine to save Max, who is trapped under the debris. Fortunately, Zan manages to dig Max out, but then accuses Max of having led them in the wrong direction. However, Max knows this is not the truth and stays behind while Zan and Duma continue on their way. Zan and Duma face their next challenge, a river they must cross. But Zan, once again, demonstrates his ingenuity by building a small raft with which they can navigate the river together. However, the current becomes too strong and they are soon swept towards a massive waterfall. To make matters worse, there are some alligators in the water chasing them, but Zan manages to reach the shore just in time. It's been a stroke of luck. They are in the wilderness, and we see all kinds of wild animals roaming the desert. As Zan makes his way through a dark jungle, Duma unknowingly gets trapped in a cage. Before Zan can do anything about it, he is forced to climb a tree to avoid a warthog that has smelled his presence. From there, he watches the warthog, but suddenly a spider causes him to lose his balance and he falls to the ground. The warthog lunges at him, and it seems that Zan is doomed, but he suddenly loses consciousness. When he comes to, Max and Duma are by his side. Max explains that he found Duma trapped in a cage and saved both of them. He then confesses that he used to be a very bad man who left his family behind and committed terrible acts, even considering selling Zan and Duma for money. But now he is determined to change and do the right thing. Zan and Max stumble upon a small group of tourists camping in a cabin. The tourists have plenty of food, and together the two men conspire to steal it. They catch a large snake, and Duma sneaks into the group, releasing the snake among them. The tourists panic and run for their lives, leaving the food unguarded. Zan and Max seize the opportunity to take the food and quickly escape. They even manage to steal a canoe and strengthen their bond while enjoying their final stretch of adventure together. Meanwhile, Ripple gives some precious stones to Sam, who in turn gives Ripple some money. The next day, the two men wander through the desert. Duma runs ahead and, when they catch up, is eating a freshly hunted animal. As Zan tries to take the meat away, Duma growls and seems like it's about to attack him. As they walk across an open plain, Ripple grabs Zan and stops him dead in his tracks. He takes a quick look around the area and suddenly tells Zan to run because there are flies. These are locust-like insects that swarm upon them. Ripple grabs Zan and covers them with a blanket, but consequently gets attacked and bitten by the small insects. That night, Ripple is sick and can barely stand as the rain falls upon them. Somehow, they manage to light a fire, but Ripple worsens by the minute, and with no other option, Zan steps away from the fire and goes to seek help. He orders Duma to stay behind, which of course, it does not. As Zan rushes through the desert in search of help, he stumbles upon a small village where the villagers don't hesitate to give him assistance, although the cure seems to be quite strange. The next morning, Ripple wakes up to realize that he is in his own village and his family is there to greet him. They reunite and he apologizes for his previous behavior before leaving, but there are no hard feelings and the moment is sweet and well-deserved for Ripple. Finally, the next day, Zan finds Duma and sees it playing and running with its new mate. Although it hurts, this is exactly what he wanted for the cheetah. With no other choice, Zan has to leave the wild animal behind and return home. He arrives sometime later and finds his mother back at the farm mowing the lawn. She sees him in the distance and jumps off the mower, running towards her son and embracing him. But the adventure doesn't end here. I'll see you in the next summary video. Let's go!